Today I fucked up by taking too much Ambien, 20 milligrams, which caused me to black out and travel interstate. 4 days ago, I had a severe bout of insomnia. One of my friends, let's call her Lucy, had previously given me 10 milligrams, pills of Ambien for emergency use if I ever had trouble falling asleep. So here's where the fuck up begins. I initially took one but it had absolutely no effect even after waiting an hour. So I took another one. Didn't know that pills take longer to work if your stomach isn't empty. All this happened while I was browsing Reddit on my phone. About 30 minutes later, everything around me began to breathe and that's when I blacked out. I woke up the next day on the side of a street in a neighboring state, with no money and phone power. My shoulder appeared to be bruised and dislocated. But despite all that, I was fully clothed and had my mask on. What happened after that is not important, but I did my darn best to reconstruct two events transpired during my blackout. I managed to answer 4 questions. A. How did I travel? By Uber apparently. B. Why did I travel? My lizard brain decided it needed to see one of my close friends ASAP. Little did it know, it entered the wrong address and missed my friend's house by around 2,000 feet. My intoxicated brain gave up at some point in time after being dropped off. B. What happened to my shoulder? I got hit by a car and refused medical help. C. What caused me to black out? I weigh too much Ambien on a non-empty stomach. Too long didn't read. I took too much Ambien and went on an interstate adventure in search for my friend. Got hit by a car, refused medical help, and woke up on a street somewhat close to my friend's house. Edit, I threw the rest of my pills down the drain. Never again. I took a sleeping pill once and woke up with the back door wide open and the hot water running in the bath with 2 pies cooking in the oven. I wish I could see a recording of what I was thinking. So the stories of Mr. Hanky taking Ambien and going on Twitter saying bad stuff without remembering isn't too far-fetched, huh? It's actually spot on. They were making fun of Roseanne Barr who did exactly this. A friend of mine took some Ambien and woke up in a house he didn't recognize, surrounded by people he didn't know, in Canada. Took some Ambien one time and woke up in fucking Kuwait. I took it in Germany. But in all fairness, I was expecting to land in Kuwait, so it worked out as planned. Oh wow, how did you know you hit a car? ? Some kind stranger witnessed what happened and gave me their phone number in case I needed help. I gave them a call sometime after sobering up. I could have died, or been seriously injured, but thankfully only my shoulder was hurt. Damn. The worst I've done on Ambien was placing multiple online orders for the exact same items. Night after night for a week, I'd order the same shorts and shirts from Old Navy. Started receiving them a week or so later. Today I fucked up by making it the day my son lost his innocence. So yesterday my wife took the kids to my in-laws for a few hours. This was perfect for me. I got a pizza, beer, and Netflix. As it always does, it took me a while to find something to watch. I settled for a Joe Rogan stand-up special. After the first one finished, the wife and kids weren't back yet, so I started watching his second special. That's when my family came home. No big deal. Wife went to get some pizza and my son went to his room to play video games while I watched my baby daughter. Everything was fine. I was still laughing and drinking when my son came to the living room, I guess to see what was so funny. Well, he came at the exact time that Joe was talking about how Santa was bullshit and you didn't want your kid to be the first or last to find out. I looked at him and he looked back but seemed unfazed. Time passed and it was getting late, so I took the baby to the bedroom so she could go to sleep. After about 30 minutes, my wife walks in and tells me, "You're an asshole." Apparently she went to tell my son goodnight and he was sitting in the dark with the ear in his eye. He asked if Santa was real and figured he wasn't because I looked at him when Joe Rogan was talking about it. She confessed and said she was Santa and explained everything to him. Oops. Time passed and we were waiting for the baby to fall asleep to have some mommy and daddy time since my wife just got off her period. After what seemed like forever, my wife goes in the bathroom to get a hair tie and comes to my side of the bed. We started making out and she asked me if I locked the door. I said no, but our son never comes in the room that late at night. We start getting into it, then she gets on top. Everything was going fine until I saw a light from under the bedroom door. Told her the living room light turned on, but she was real into it with her eyes closed, so she didn't pay attention. Then that's when my second fuck up happened. My son opened the door and just stood there. I put the sheet over my wife and held her close. Everything was silent. It felt like forever. Then my wife whispered to me to say something. I panicked and was still speechless, looking at my son just standing there. Finally I said the only thing I could think of: close the door. Dude, what the fuck? My boy didn't know whether to stay in and close the door or get out and close the door. Finally he said, never mind, and left. Fuck. My wife is freaking out, still on top of me still inside her. What do we do? She doesn't feel like continuing, but shit, I just told her there's nothing we can do. So, she says to hurry up, I finish, and we get cleaned up. She kept telling me to go talk to him, but fuck that, I already ruined Christmas for him, 2 days before Christmas. She's too embarrassed to go see him, so we just lay there until we fall asleep. He must have known what was going on. I had the talk with him in April when his sister was born. Before falling asleep, I told my wife, December 23rd, the day, son's name, lost his innocence. Too long didn't read, accidentally revealed to my son that Santa wasn't real 2 days before Christmas. That same night, he walked in on my wife riding cowgirl on me. For info, how old is your son? Sorry if I missed that part. I wonder if he really knows what you two were doing, or was just very confused, but I assume since you had the talk with him he's old enough to put 2 and 2 together. He's 11, I thought by now he'd know about Santa but was only pretending to keep us happy. He's a good kid that does shit like that. I told my wife that he's too young to know sex positions. Plus, it was still kind of dark and the sheet was over her, so he was probably just confused. I read the title and thought you either spoiled Santa or your son caught you having sex. Guess I was right. You need to tell him that what he saw was perfectly normal adult behavior between 2 people who love each other and are mature adults. Acknowledge that you know he's embarrassed and that you two are embarrassed because what had happened was meant to be private between loving people. Normalize it for him. This is the perfect time to talk to him openly about the mechanics of sex. Talk openly, and when he's older the conversation of protection, condoms, and the meaning of consent will be easier. You as a parent should be the person he talks to, not his buddies on the street where the information may not be 100% accurate. I second this. Please talk to your kid, they've had a very confusing day. Why not go talk to him after? He's only 11. Going out your way to talk to him after would mean a lot more than to let him sit in his 11-year-old thoughts. Not judging you, just saying kids are vulnerable. Holy shit, what the fuck, you need to give him anything he wants for a while. Oh my god, poor kid. Today I fucked up by sitting down too hard on the toilet, literally destroying it. So yesterday I wanted to go for a walk, in an attempt to burn some of the Christmas calories that I had been shoveling my face with for several days straight. Light snowfall and no wind, so I thought why not make it a long one. I decided to do one that around town is called Around the Bridges, which is 15 kilometers, 9.3 miles, long. A nice walk, far away from any traffic for the most part, crossing the river running through town at 2 different points. About a quarter of the way through I noticed the snowfall had started to pick up, but didn't think much about it. Forecast said it would be too much snow coming down, and wind wasn't supposed to go all crazy either. Double checked on my phone, and forecast had barely checked. So I kept going. Halfway through however, and I realized the meteorologists had been lying to me. So much snow, and it was coming down sideways because of the fucking wind. To make it even worse, I had noticed the snow wasn't really bouncing off my snow pants and jacket like it had in the beginning. The temperature had started to rise, so instead it was clinging to my clothing, making me wet. Frustration started growing. By the time I got home I was soaked cold, face hurting from squinting, trying to avoid snow coming into my eyes. Immediately went to the bathroom to get undressed to avoid getting the hallway floor too wet. With the clothes off, I threw myself on the toilet seat, kinda like you would do on a recliner or a couch, after a long and annoying day at work. Not my best move. Cracked the ceramic on both sides of the toilet. Front part came off the floor and the whole thing is now leaning. I turned my toilet into an actual recliner. I called the property owner's emergency line, but since it's not leaking water, they deemed it's not an emergency and I will have to wait until Monday to make a report with the normal customer service, and I would assume it's not getting fixed until after New Year's. Until then I will have to go outside to a building where all residents share laundry facility to do my business. It's still snowing heaps. It's still windy as fuck. So because I got so pissed off from a snowstorm I broke my toilet. I now have to go through a snowstorm to have a shit. Too long didn't read, got pissed off walking through a snowstorm, threw myself on the toilet when I came home cracking the ceramic. Because of the holidays I will now, for several days, have to go outside through more snowstorms to do my business. If the toilet isn't leaking from the bottom, the wax seal is still intact and you can still use it, I'd be wary of leaning side to side, but you should be fine. Should be okay to use it, but I'm not taking any chances. Might cut my ass to shreds if it collapses more. And if starts leaking, I might cause serious water damage in the building as I live on the top floor. Damn, that's real inconvenient that you gotta use shared facilities for now. But you really gotta see the humor in this situation. You broke the fucking toilet, ha ha ha, smiley face. Hopefully it's fixed sooner rather than later. How many Christmas calories does one have to eat to break the toilet when sitting down? Yes. They over-tightened the flange bolts when they installed it.